operation is still growing strong. With that, we bring in our friend Andrew Zoldan of the Inside the Tournament podcast and all things TBT inside and out. Andrew, thanks as always for joining us. This is wild, right? 12 years in here. This is kind of nuts. This has thrived as much as it has, huh?
Yeah, it's great to not only be back on the show. Thank you for that. It's great to be back in Syracuse. And yeah, year 12, it's crazy. I think I started the bubble year was when I was first involved back in 2020, and it's just been growing and growing ever since. I know you'll ask me what's different about this year with years past, so I'll answer that when you ask it. But there's definitely some big changes this year that Syracuse fans definitely can be excited about.
It's always evolving, and I think that's what's kind of interesting. There's no reason not to take risks with it in a lot of ways, right? Big picture, though, like obviously when it started before you were involved, Andrew, a lot of the initial idea was, all right, can we engage alums, do alumni teams, stuff like that? Is that, in your mind, still the central core of this? Obviously, our eyes are always on Boeheim's Army, or is that kind of riding sidecar to what the main goal is going on right now?
I think the main goal was always, who would play in this tournament? The answer is everyone. And we've just seen over the years that the fandom comes so much stronger with the alumni teams. So a lot of the focus shifts there. But you look this year, like there's less alumni teams this year than years past. There's more of those teams that have like random former NBA guys here or there, like a team X rated in the Lexington regional. There just seems to be more interest now from just like people who love to play basketball than years past, which is great because it's growing. More people are getting involved. It's not, limited to anyone. Anyone can get into TBT, which is the coolest part of the open to all, winner take all format. But there's definitely obviously still big emphasis on alumni teams, especially when it comes to hosting. Some of these teams that come together just for TBT, like where would their host site be? What kind of fans would they have if they hosted a regional? So, you need those alumni teams like Boeheim's Army that can pack the house for round 1, 2, 3, and on.
Yeah, I mean, we have Sean Belby on all the time to talk about this, and I've asked him about that many times, right? It's like, what's the balance like for you as a GM of this team? Because clearly you need the Syracuse poll, and this year he's got, at the moment, 6 well-known former Orange players to be part of the team. It's like, but you also want to win $1 million, right? Like, it's a weird balance when you're trying to do the alumni team. You can't lean too far into nostalgia when you're also trying to win these games.
Yeah, Belby, not to hype him up too much, I was actually texting him yesterday about this, funny enough. He's done a great job. I had Buddy Boeheim on my podcast, episode released today, but I talked to him last week, and he said that not only has Sean been recruiting him for years, but also like in November when their 2 G League teams interacted, he was like recruiting Buddy. He was like, hey, great game. You're having a great season. How about TBT in the summer? So credit to Sean for, staying on Buddy really since he's been born to play on this team. But then also, any chance he has, he's recruiting, and he cares about this a lot. So it's great to see.
To help Buddy recruited his center with the Oklahoma City Blue, Noah Starkey, to be on the team this year. So it's spreading out into the other universes of these guys. Andrew Zoldan with us talking TBT. You mentioned like recent NBA guys. I saw Willie Cauley-Stein's on a team. Was he in the league this year, last year? He's still playing major basketball. I saw the name Montrezl Harrell, who Syracuse fans will know from his time at Louisville. When it's guys like that, like they don't need to play that. They've made money in the league. What does that tell you when guys like that are suiting up for the tournament?
Well, it tells us that those guys specifically just love playing basketball and love the cities and teams and colleges that they're representing. Montrezl Harrell is like all about Louisville, all about the Ville. He was like DMing us in October, like, we're winning it this year. Like he's fired up. Willie Cauley-Stein was the first recommitment for La Familia, the Kentucky alumni team this year. He played last year. He won TBT Defensive Player of the Year. We might have even just created the award for him last year in TBT because that's how good he was. We were like, okay, we need a Defensive Player of the Year or of the tournament if Willie Cauley-Stein's going to be in it. So it's great to see those guys interested. My favorite name this year, though, DJ Burns from NC State.
Yes.
Obviously, he was on the team, or he was on NC State 2 years ago for March Madness. Crazy run. He was like our biggest announcement of the year so far. Any host team, any player, anything, is that he's playing with Challenge ALS, which is one of those legacy teams in TBT that's been in forever, plays for a great cause. So a lot of fun and exciting names this year, really in any region that you look.
Yeah, obviously, Syracuse fans, DJ play a ton in his career at NC State, and who doesn't like him after that memorable run that he had in the NCAA tournament and ACC tournament going back a couple of years? You know, Andrew, somebody in the chat just brings this up, and I forget if this went anywhere. I remember, when was it, a couple months ago, Doug Gottlieb was trying to get his whole college basketball team in with Green Bay. Did that go anywhere? Is that a thing that the TBT is open to?
Open to it. They're not in it this year. As we all saw, the bracket is out today. That's something that would be obviously super cool in the future. Doug Gottlieb himself has coached in TBT, coached the Oklahoma State team. I think he even tore his ACL coaching a game, and then he coached the next game, or he tore it right before. There was something crazy with his ACL a few years ago when he was coaching. But yeah, he loves TBT, so that's something that would be cool to see in the future. The big thing this year, though, is the home court advantage and the way that it's done this year, which basically gives the Syracuse alumni, Boeheim's Army, have a chance to host in Syracuse. Really, they have a chance to host all the way through the championship. It just depends, who wins, who loses, and they have to sell 4,000. I just want to make sure I get this right. They have to sell 4,000 tickets to their region faster than the Indianapolis regional to lock in hosting the quarterfinal between those two teams, which, it's still anybody's race, but they're on pace to do that, which means we could be looking at, Syracuse alumni hosting Indiana, Butler, or Ohio State alumni in Syracuse in the TBT quarterfinal, which would be the first time we've seen something like that in Syracuse.
Yeah, because what is it? It's their ordering ranking. Like if you sell 4,000 tickets, and I know what the Louisville regional did that basically immediately. So if they keep winning, they host the whole tournament. So I was wondering. So that's how it goes. Like if Boeheim's Army wins this regional and sells their tickets, like that locks in a 1-game thing, or is it whoever is the highest ranked team left is gathering the 8 remaining teams for the rest, or is it going to bounce to multiple sites in the second week?
So all host teams have the opportunity to host quarterfinals, semifinals, and championship. And the way it works is if you're matched up with someone who you've sold more tickets than or got to 4,000 before, you're hosting that next round. So if they eventually were to play the Ville, that game would be in Louisville. Or if the Lexington Regional sells 4,000 before Syracuse, and then they play in the Ville. Well, sorry, I'm confusing myself and confusing your listeners as well. Basically, as of right now, the only team that would restrict them from playing at home is the Ville because they've locked in the 4,000. So if they go to somewhere else for a semifinal and win, they could still bring the championship game back to Syracuse, which is what I think you were asking of, is the whole tournament going to pick up and go to Louisville? The answer is they could host any game all the way through the championship.
Okay, so the gist is buy your tickets, and then you will have a chance to potentially, if Boeheim's Army makes a run, to go to more than 3 games at OCC coming up. I find that interesting too, Andrew. Like year by year, like every year there's something, right? Like so much is on the Elam ending because that's obviously the main thing that stands out as, different than the basketball we watch most of the year. And that's been there pretty consistently in one form or another since the start of the tournament. How important is it to the tournament to, add something every year, right? Like there's always a twist, a little change every year to kind of keep everyone on their toes.
Yeah, I mean, you always want to be improving and coming up with new, cool, awesome things to do. it's definitely something that we stress, and we want to be the first to do things. We want to be the league in the tournament that people are like, well, did you see what TBT did? Similar to what the NBA did with their All-Star game format for a few years when they added the Elam ending. Chris Paul, who's obviously a co-owner of TBT, was a big advocate of doing that in the All-Star game. And he was like, this is what it looks like in TBT. So we're always trying to not only come up with stuff to make our product interesting, but we want it to be stuff that, translates and transitions to other leagues, other teams, etc. So definitely something that we're focused on is coming up with new exciting ideas every year. And this home court one, I think it's super cool. Obviously, don't think March Madness is going to turn around next year and be like, hey, now whoever's in the finals is going to have home court advantage. But like, it is something that, we think is pretty cool.
It was cool, though, the other year, right, Andrew, when like the first tournament to do the stick the name on the bracket thing, like game ends, go slap your team up on the bracket. That was the TBT. Now that's like a major on camera, you won your first round tournament game, go slap it up in the locker room. Like stuff like that. It's
like
making
the
its way into
tiny
the culture,
ones.
right?
They do the tiny ones. March Madness does like the real tiny bracket tags. We do the huge bracket tags. You go up, you see the guys are running over, sprinting to the brackets immediately after they win the game. It's like you hit the Elam ender and then you grab the bracket tag, and basically these guys are trying to like knock over the bracket is what it looks like. How fast they're sprinting over there. So I got a feeling Boeheim's Army this year, they're going to try and get Buddy to do a couple of those bracket tag advancing if I had to guess.
Well, I mean, they got a lot of people named Boeheim hanging around, so hopefully they can all take turns if they win enough games coming up. Obviously, Jim will be involved as an advisory role, and Jimmy and Buddy are both playing in the tournament this year. Andrew Zoldan, Inside the Tournament podcast, is with us. As he said, his episode with Buddy Boeheim dropped today, so make sure to check that out. Always good to hear from Buddy and his parent club going with the Thunder. They just won the championship the other day, so that's kind of cool that Buddy's got some inside knowledge of the Thunder and all their happenings going on. So, we get closer and closer to this every year, and I wonder if you've seen this, Andrew. Like, at the beginning, it was like, all right, who's free? And everyone's schedule's all crazy, and, people are playing in the Philippines and all over. It feels like now it is still crazy. You do lose guys or get guys at the last minute, but it feels like the TBT is it's carved out its spot here on the basketball calendar, right? So if you play ball overseas, you're almost working this into your summer schedule now, right? It feels like this is becoming a more consistent stop for guys in their post-collegiate careers.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. You got the biggest thing that we're seeing happening is like an alumni team, for example, will come in, play for a year, win 2 games, whatever it may be. And then they're like, all right, we got to come back and do this bigger and better. We're going to start recruiting guys now. We're going to start going to this guy here, this guy there. So it's, that's how it starts to pop up for the other players on their radar when they're overseas. So, Sean Belby, for example, is like recruiting these guys all year long, but a lot of the guys on the team this year are returning guys or guys he's been recruiting for years. So I think it's a combination of like, hey, I'm going to clear my schedule for TBT. And also the second a team gets eliminated, they're jumping on recruiting for the next year. So it's, it was on Montrezl Harrell's calendar for last year, 3 years ago or 2 years ago, whatever it was. They lost. He was at the game as a fan. And then he was like, this is on my calendar for next year. So that's a big thing with the alumni teams is, in their first year, it's tough to get it done. It's tough to make a big run. And then the players see it and they start seeing that they could be a part of it. So you made a great point there that people are clearing their calendars for it. And I'd be clearing my calendar too if I had a chance to win, $60,000 to $100,000 for winning 6 basketball games.
Yeah, splitting $1 million doesn't stink. And you mentioned the Syracuse guys in Boeheim's Army. There's 6 of them. As of the moment, 4 of them have played for Boeheim's Army before, and then Buddy and Elijah Hughes will be making their debuts this summer. So looking forward to that. All right, Andrew, anything else we need to know TBT with the brackets and everything out today before we let you go?
No, I think you just want to be rooting for Boeheim's Army, but also rooting for the Ville to lose, I guess, if you want to help lock in your chance of hosting all the way through without a hiccup. The Ville and La Familia, so Louisville and Lexington, those teams are, kind of ahead of the pack with ticket sales. It's already locked that if those teams play, the quarterfinal would be in the Ville, but then Lexington could bring it back to Lexington, which means Syracuse would be traveling all around. So basically, if you're a Boeheim's Army fan, you want your team to win and you want all the other host teams to lose.
All right, you don't have to twist Syracuse fans' arms to root against Louisville, Andrew. That's not going to take a lot of hard work around here to get us to go against those guys. All right, Andrew, always great to chat. I'm sure we'll catch up again as we get toward the tournament in about a month, but thanks for hopping on here.
No, thanks for having me. Talk again soon for sure.
All right, there he is, Andrew Zoldan. He hosts the Inside the Tournament podcast. Like, if you see, interviews and videos and whatever about the TBT, Andrew generally has something to do with it. And as he dropped the news on us, he dropped an episode involving Buddy Boeheim just this very day. So go watch that. I mean, wait like an hour. Go watch it later, but, go watch it later. It's Buddy. Always good to watch Buddy, see what he has to say. I do have a question I need to ask Buddy at some point. We'll ask him when we get closer to the TBT. I don't know if he knows the answer to this yet or when he'll find out. As an Oklahoma City Blue player, is Buddy getting a ring? He played 0 games for the Thunder this year. And I think technically his contract was a G League only contract this year. He was not on a 2-way. Is he getting a ring? Are they just... Everyone gets a ring? I have no idea. I don't know if Buddy knows if he's getting a ring. He might be getting a ring. That'd be cool. Here's an NBA championship ring. You don't turn that down. I don't care if you're on the court or not. You take that ring. You take it. So, we'll run that back. When we get to the TBT, we will ask Buddy that question. And it's possible he won't even know the answer to it by then. But I am curious about that. All right, let's hit a break here in this hour, brought to you by William Matar. When we come back, phone lines open the rest of the way, 315-437-7644. Back after this on a steamy, almost 100-degree, yowza, Tuesday here in CNY. Back after this, here on Q Sports Talk and ESPN Radio.